What's up guys, Drago2020 here, and today we're here to talk about speed, but it's going to be part 2. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Anyways, let's get right into the video. Alright, so I want to start off big, like the biggest argument I have. Let's just start out huge. Both travelers are not from Teyvat. They travel the stars, going from world to world. The whale did the exact same thing. That would make the whale massively faster than the speed of light, and the travelers massively faster than the speed of light. I would also like to bring to people's attention this. The traveler and their sibling, when they first entered Teyvat, we did not see the flying device that they had. In fact, the only flying device that we do see them have is their wings that they show in the initial cutscene. So that means they most likely flew to Teyvat on their own power. So that adds on to the fact that they're capable of flying many times faster than the speed of light to reach from planet to planet, from solar systems to even galaxies away. Alright, so I decided to redo the whole first part of this audio. So I was out mowing the lawn, right? And I was thinking, wow, I really wanted to pin these high-tier Genshin Impact characters against these high-tier Naruto characters, at least from Shippuden. But now it looks like I can't do that. I'm gonna have to pin them against Dragon Ball characters at this rate. And then I thought, hold on a second. Didn't somebody from Dragon Ball perform the exact same feat as traversing the stars without a spaceship? Oh wait, someone did. Kid Buu. So whatever was said for him in terms of speed must be said for the traveler in terms of speed, because they performed the exact same feat. And that is massively faster than the speed of light plus. So anytime I say massively faster than the speed of light, just put a plus in front of that. Now there's another entity within Genshin that did the exact same feat as the traveler and Kid Buu, and that is the whale. The whale traversed the stars, consuming planets. The whale is Skirk's pet, so that means Skirk scales above the whale in terms of speed and power. Skirk is also Tartag's master. She taught him how to fight and use the Foul Legacy. Considering that Tartag potentially sparred against this whale, it definitely sparred against Skirk. That would make Tartag, at the events of Leeway, massively faster than the speed of light plus. Hydro Traveler beat the whale with Nervalet, which also makes Nervalet massively faster than the speed of light plus. So with this roundabout scaling, not only can we get Hydro Traveler at massively faster than the speed of light plus, but we can also get Geo Traveler at massively faster than the speed of light plus, because he beat someone who is massively faster than the speed of light plus, 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. There are two people of note that have defeated the Traveler, and that is the Raiden Shogun and the Knave. The Raiden Shogun and the Knave both casually defeated the versions of Traveler that they faced. The Raiden Shogun beat Electro Traveler, and the Knave beat Hydro Traveler. Since Geo Traveler was massively faster than the speed of light plus, that would put Electro Traveler massively faster than the speed of light plus, and that would put the Raiden Shogun at massively faster than the speed of light plus. Now, in the initial cutscene where they first fought for the first time, the Raiden Shogun beat the Traveler with Engulfing Lightning, not the Muso Ishi. That means base Raiden Shogun is massively faster than the speed of light plus. In fact, you could argue she's faster. Understand that she gets stronger and faster once she pulls the Muso, or just as bad, activate the Shadow Lord form. The Knave be a stronger version of the Traveler just as casually. So that would put the Knave at massively faster than the speed of light plus. And anyone who scales above the Knave and the Fatuya Harbingers is also massively faster than the speed of light plus. Now let's go to the Sustainer of the Heavenly Principles. The Sustainer of the Heavenly Principles was capable of beating both Travelers. Regardless of which one is a Descender or not, they both scale to each other in terms of speed and power. The Sustainer was capable of beating each twin with one hand. As we see the Sustainer, she literally was just blocking their attacks with one hand. That means in terms of power, she scales vastly above them, something I'm going to be getting into in the Power of Characters in Genshin Impact Part 3. So not only is the Sustainer massively faster than speed of light plus, she is in the higher tiers of massively faster than speed of light plus, seeing as she is able to casually dispatch both Travelers. Seeing as this is the Sustainer, that means the people above her also scale vastly above the Travelers as well. Now let's go all the way back to the Dvalin fight. Dvalin scales to the Animal Archon at full power. The Traveler, Jean, and Diluc fought alongside Venti to take down Dvalin. In order for them to fight Dvalin, they would all have to be massively faster than the speed of light plus, seeing as Dvalin is one of the strongest characters in the game, even now. To end off this section of the video, I'm just gonna say this. Here are the other characters that are massively faster than the speed of light. Anyone who is capable of fighting and beating the Knave, anyone who is capable of fighting the Whale, Tartag, or Skirk, anyone that's capable of fighting Venti, anyone that's stronger than Venti, which should be Zhongli and Ran Shogun, and anyone with the title that says able to rival the power of the gods should also scale to this speed as well. This title is something that I'm going to be getting into in my next video, Power of Characters in Genshin Impact. Whether it be the next video I upload after this one or not, it's up in the air, but it's on the horizon. So stay tuned and be sure to look out for it. Alright, now back to the regular recording. Alright, so here's the name of the game for the Traveler. So he loses all of his power in the beginning, and he has to reclaim it over the course of the journey. So each region he gets to, he gets stronger. Since there's 7 regions, and he has to get across all of them to get to full power, we can multiply that by 1/7 to get an idea on how much stronger he gets each region. Before I estimated he got 20% stronger, he actually gets 14% stronger. So I was actually off by 0.06%. This does not take into account elements that he acquires, which buffs him further. So technically he's getting stronger than what I just said, but I'd say this is a good low ball because it mathematically makes sense. Alright guys, so I decided to redo this whole section too. Right here you should be seeing a chart. Now I'm just going to go over the labeling. So over here you should see a gold block that says back at start of series full power or approaching start of series full power. That whole highlighted section is where Hydro Traveler is. So that's where I think start of series full power Traveler is, or is approaching. If that's not what it is, then I have this covered right here. It says future growth or start of series full power. All of that is in the green. And right here it says at the speed where you can fight the Whale. That's going to be important later on when I go through each of these columns to determine which one is most likely. I would like to start this off with a disclaimer. This does not take into account elements, speed buffs that he acquires along the way, and techniques that he uses. For example, turning himself into an element and then rocketing himself in a particular direction. This only explains how fast the Traveler is using the statement where he travels across the stars like the all-devouring whale. So let's start with Hydro Traveler and go through the scaling. So Hydro Traveler fought the all-devouring whale. The all-devouring whale is capable of traveling the stars, going to planet, eating it. So that means Hydro Traveler has to be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. If you look at the chart, column 1 and 2, they do not check, but 3, 4, and 5 do check. Because if you look at the numbers for Hydro Traveler in terms of speed, he is not at 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. In fact, in column 2, Cryo Traveler would be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. So columns 1 and 2 do not check. However, column 3, 4, and 5 do check. Because Hydro Traveler, bare minimum, is 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. The Wanderer wielded the Electro-Gnosis. A Gnosis scales to a Prime Archon. Dendro Traveler would have to be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. Column 1 and 2 again do not check, but 3, 4, and 5 do. Now let's go to Electro Traveler. Electro Traveler fought the Ran Shogun. The Ran Shogun should be above what is considered to be a Prime Archon, but I'm just going to lower her down to a Prime Archon for the sake of the argument. Electro Traveler, bare minimum, would have to be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light in order to fight her. If you look in column 3, it no longer checks because he's not 1,000 times faster than the speed of light, but column 4 and 5 do. Tartag is capable of sparring with Skirk, who the Whale is fodder to. GL Traveler beat Leeway Tartag. So that means GL Traveler would have to be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light, or else he wouldn't be able to fight Tartag. Columns 4 and 5 check. And finally, if Nervalette scales to a Prime Archon, and Venti, at the time of the Dvalin fight, regardless of whether he was poisoned or not, scales to a Prime Archon, and Zhongli scales to a Prime Archon. Based off of his own assessment, that means the Whale, Aishaha, and the Valen have to be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. So that means everyone there who fought against the Valen have to be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light in order to fight the Valen, because the Valen scales to a Prime Archon, regardless if the Valen was poisoned or not. So that means Animal Traveler would have to be 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. So columns 4 and 5 check again. So based off of this scaling, we can get Animal Traveler at 1,000 times faster than the speed of light. Since Dendro Traveler beat the Wanderer when he had the Electro-Gnosis, Dendro Traveler is around the speed of a Prime Archon. And since Hydro Traveler scales to Nervalette, Nervalette has to be 5,000 to 10,000 times faster than the speed of light. If the Raiden Shogun with Engulfing Lightning is capable of beating Electro Traveler, that means full power Engulfing Lightning has to be well over 6,000 times faster than the speed of light. As I will later detail, she eclipses this speed by a considerably high margin once she unlocks the full power of the Muso Ishin. If Hydro Traveler and onward is considered start of series full power, then these are the numbers that the Traveler will have to eclipse in order to beat the Sustainer of the Heavenly Principles. Because if you remember in the cutscene, she beat both Travelers with one hand each. I really want to stress this. This chart does not take into account elements, and that's for a specific reason. Honestly, there is no official number that details how much faster or how much more powerful the Traveler gets upon acquiring elements. That 20% that I showed in my D-Luke vs Tartag video, my name video, that number is just something that I just guesstimated. Realistically, it could be that, it could be 14% more, or it could multiply his power by bare minimum 2. However, I am able to estimate how much faster or how much more powerful the Traveler gets with elements, and that is if I equate using elements around the same thing as using Adaptus Energy, which is what the Traveler is capable of doing. Adaptus Energy is on the level of the gods in Genshin Impact. If you look at the description of a delusion, it says that delusions are far more powerful than visions. That could be 10 times to 100 times more powerful. If we equate this to using elements, which it really shouldn't, because Adaptus Energy is just way more powerful than elements, but we're going to do it anyways for the sake of the argument. That means the bare minimum the Traveler can get 10 to 100 times faster and more powerful from using elements. If you take into account specific elements that buff specific qualities, that number could shoot up from 100 to even like 500 to 1,000. Far higher is not a number, it is a descriptive quality. So really I could apply any high number to that quality. So at bare minimum, we can say that the Traveler gets 10 to 100 times more powerful when he uses elements to buff speed, but if it's specifically Animal or Electro, it's far higher than even that, especially when he turns himself into an element, or with Adaptus Energy, shapeshifts into a fish and flies around. So to give an idea on how this will look on the chart, you would have to increase the exponent of whatever you think the Traveler is by 1, 2, or 3, and that's just an equation, that's scientific notation. You just have to put this equation into a calculator. With this, you get the new estimation for the Traveler when you consider elements. That is how high you can get the Traveler if you use elements. Now understand, this is an estimation based off of lore and me comparing two similar things together. It could be less than this, it could be far higher than this. So this is just an estimation. Don't take this number too seriously. If it ends up being true, then hey, I said it first.
If we go back to the Wanderer fight, the Traveler saw a laser come at him at slow motion, and then the Wanderer blitzed him to try and save him because it was an off-guard attack. This would mean the Traveler is much faster than that laser. Now, let's get into that laser. The laser itself, it's formed using Electro, and then the laser itself is made up of Electro. Elemental constructs, not only are they capable of replicating what the original thing the construct was modeled after, but it's also capable of exceeding what the original object was capable of doing. This does include lasers. So that laser was moving way faster than a normal laser. And finally, let's get to the Raiden Shogun. The Shogun puppet, not A herself, but the Shogun puppet, has the fastest speed feat in the entire game. She stopped time
and then took her sword and drug it across the entire realm of consciousness that Makoto created. That realm is infinite in size. If Gnosis scale to Archons and Archons scale to Gnosis, and the Raiden Shogun and A scale to each other, and then scale to the Electro-Gnosis, and Makoto scales to the Electro-Gnosis, that would give the Electro-Gnosis infinite energy and Makoto infinite energy. Now the thing is, Makoto, she's a regular person, and the Raiden Shogun, they're not a normal person. If stamina directly correlates to power, which it does, since Makoto isn't an android, most likely she doesn't have infinite energy, but the Electro-Gnosis does. So it makes sense that she would be able to create an infinite realm using the Electro-Gnosis, which I'm pretty sure she still had on her person at that point. It's comparable to the size of the Light Realm, the Dark Realm, the Human Realm, because it has the title Realm. As you'll see in a later video that I plan on uploading pretty much after this one, in fact it might be the next video you see, I go into the size of pretty much everything in Genshin Impact, so that way I can properly explain how big the game actually is, and how its labeling systems work. This puts the Raiden Shogun to infinite to immeasurable speeds, seeing as she did this feat in less than 2 seconds. And because A is able to assume control of the Raiden Shogun, the power within the Musou Ishin, the sword that A uses against the Raiden Shogun, would actually scale to the Shadow Lord form that the Shogun uses against her, at least the sword in full power. And by the way, while I'm talking about the sword, I've been calling it by the wrong name. I keep calling it the Musou no Itotachi. That's the fighting style. The Musou Ishin is the actual name of the sword. I just wanted to get that out there. I made that mistake many times. Honestly, I could end the video right there, but I do want to get into some arguments that people might have against what I'm saying. So let's start off with this. The Wanderer said that this guy is fake, and in one cutscene, you can see Yoimiya and the Traveler riding across stars. Just because there are fake stars in the sky doesn't mean the entirety of the sky is fake. Judging off of how Celestia doesn't like things different from how they want them to be, they most likely made the sky however they wanted to. The Traveler and Nervalet pretty much disproved that the sky is entirely fake, meaning that there's nothing there, it's just all simulation. And another argument that people are going to make is that the Traveler's sibling, the one that you didn't choose, is not classified as a descender. As we see from the Wanderer, with residual energy from the Electro-Gnosis, he is capable of altering Irming's soul, and was capable of erasing his past. The power within the Gnosis comes directly from Celestia, even though the Gnosis itself was made from the third descender. Seeing as this power comes from Celestia, it is safe to assume that Celestia themselves are capable of manipulating Irming's soul as well. After paying attention to what's been said about Celestia over the course of the adventure, this is my views towards Celestia, and this does go towards the power scaling of things. Believe it or not, this actually is on topic when it comes to speed. This actually proves my argument to be correct. Fossilores in that cutscene described Celestia as a governmental body, not something like heaven or anything. The enemy at the beginning of the game is literally called the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles, meaning that thing or that person or whatever you want to call it is Celestia's police force. I want you all to pay attention to pretty much all of the Archons that we met, except for maybe Venti, because I haven't seen any comments or remember any comments at the time of this recording that he has made towards Celestia that were negative. After the Traveler beat the Raiden Shogun with 99 visions, she goes into talk about the Heavenly Principles and what happened to Conria, and she doesn't want what happened to Conria to happen to her own people. The Heavenly Principles literally gives her anxiety, so much so that she's willing to hurt her own people to try and stop them from coming after her and her people. And to put into perspective how bad what happened to Conria was, it literally got wiped off the map. You see rune grades, other types of robots from Conria, but you don't actually see where Conria actually was, except for maybe even the chasm. The place virtually got wiped off the map, and she does not want that to happen to her own people. It also says that Conria fell overnight, so it happened quickly and unexpectedly. The Hydro Archon Irina had literal fire rained on her when she went against the Heavenly Principles by turning the Oceanids into humans, which are the Fontanians nowadays. the strongest character in the game, the Rein Shogun, was so afraid of them that they literally gave her anxiety. To her, they are unstoppable. That goes to show you how strong and how fast they are. But that's not the point that I want to make. The point that I want to make is Celestia, they seem to want to push a narrative, and they're willing to do anything in their power to try and push this narrative. They're willing to wipe an entire country off of the map. They're willing to seal people away they disagree with. And I think that they'll even go as far as to edit the literal history of the planet so that no one remembers what actually happened. And I think that same thing happened to the Traveler's sister, which is why the Futui do not count her as a descender, because they have no memory of her descending. Alright, to end the video off, my final argument that the Traveler is Lightspeed, at bare minimum, Dragon Spine. There's a Rune Grader, the Traveler fought him early on. Just remember that the Rune Grader shoots a laser. The Rune Grader is in Dragon Spine, and that is Animal Traveler who had to fight him. That means Animal Traveler at some point was Lightspeed. Alright guys, that's gonna do it. Honestly, I'm just as floored as you guys. I initially thought that the Traveler was at least Lightspeed, and then I managed to deduce that the Traveler was 100 times faster than the speed of light, because that laser dodge speed that I mentioned in this video, and going into the laser, explaining its properties. But to find out that the Traveler this whole time was just massively faster than the speed of light plus, I honestly wasn't expecting that. I thought that would be like an extreme highball, but it went from an extreme highball to probably one of the most likely things. Because again, the Traveler, he didn't have a spaceship. The only thing we see him have are those wings. So my next video that should be coming out probably after this one, that's going to be Power of Characters in Genshin Impact Part 3. I may release that one next, or I could release one of the other two videos that I was planning before I had to rush and do this video. So if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe, and as always, have a wonderful day.